a word of prayer, and then I hand it over to Brother Florentine. Sorry. Welcome again. Well, a few years ago, I was in one of the churches in Dublin for communion. And next to me, a friend of mine, while looking at the bread, um, unleavened bread, okay, he said, I like so much to come here in this church for communion because the bread is so white. Hmm, I said, you mean in your church the bread is brown? He confirmed so. Well, I said, I don't see anything wrong in that. And I tell you more, I think that's the right way to make it. Suddenly, he turned to me and exclaimed, but it's written, it has to be made of fine flour. I couldn't explain just in few seconds to my friend, but in that moment, in my soul, the decision to speak publicly about this became stronger than ever. So, here we are speaking about this. The name of our presentations today is Our Daily Bread. Before that, I have to say this phrase. Okay. The general information provided in this presentation is for informational purpose only and does not replace medical advice. Okay. So, if we are going in Leviticus chapter 2, verse 7, we can see if your offering is a grain offering baked in a covered pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. So, my friend was right, quoting this. But let's see what the fine flour means. So, how could we get it? To obtain fine flour, we need raw materials like cereals we have here with blue. After that, you can come here and see. I wrote them with blue. Cereals. And we have also pseudo cereals with red, just to have an idea. And we have grains and flour. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we have. That's okay. I'm gonna speak. Okay. So to obtain fine flour, we need raw materials, cereals, grinding method, mill, mortar, something like this. Okay. Or and then sifting method like sieve. Okay. But when Moses wrote the Bible, we are speaking. Thank you, good man. When Moses wrote the Bible, we are speaking about Bronze Age. So, what does it mean? In the Bronze Age, tools were really rudimentary, so it was not possible to obtain tools or very precise machinery to be able to obtain a fine flour as in our days. And we have here the process of making that, okay? They used to cut the wheat with a sickle, then they used to beat the cereals like today's threshing using a flail. And the last process was chaff separation by winnowing. You can see here, okay? In some countries, people use this method. I remember I was a child, and with my grandfather, I used to do, but for the beans. But anyway, it's not too much. There's not too much difference between. Okay, so we can see here that's in Italy. Even today they do this, but just to show the people like how we were. Okay, so it's real. That was in the past, and let's compare that with the methods we have today. So today threshing is made by complex machine like combine harvester. So regarding the process of fine flour, we are going to make an antithesis the method they use in that period and the method we use today, and then we can uh, get a conclusion of this. So let's go grounding. Okay. In the ancient time, flour was obtained by grinding grain between two stones. A lower stationary stone, called the quern stone, and the upper, the mobile stone, called the hand stone. So you can see here, and this is from museum. We have another one, a statue from ancient Egypt, the same. Practically, they smashed the grain with one stone, and I think in some countries that they use even today. And in my opinion, it is not a wrong method. It is not a wrong method. Yeah, especially if outside is cold, it's not a wrong method. Okay, I mean, it's a healthy method. But it's nothing new because the Bible speaks about this. So, Deuteronomy 24, verse 6. No man shall take the lower or the upper millstone in pledge, for he takes one's living in pledge. This makes me understand how important was in that period not the stone, but what you make with that stone, the food. Because why the stone? And we are speaking about the hand stone, a stone you can find it on the roads, let's say. But I was wondering, when I started this, I was wondering, why not the knife? They used to bring offerings, let's say, animals. They have to kill them. Why not the knife? And God says that stone, because in the Genesis we saw in the morning, God says what is the right food people shall eat. Okay. That was in the past, when Moses wrote the Bible. We have to compare this with today. Today we have a grinding system based on rolls mill. So the rolls rotate at the speed of 300-350 revolutions per minute, which turns grain into powder. You can see there and here. They are really break the grain in such a way you get really fine flour. Okay, so as a raw material, we have cereal grains, and we can see here wheat, oats, rice, rye, barley, millet, and corn. We have pseudo cereals as well there, but for this moment we are speaking about the cereals. And among the cereals, we are speaking we are going to speak about wheat, because the wheat is the most uh, cultivated cereal in the world. Okay. So, the wheat, it is a generic term which includes several species belonging to the genus Triticum. Triticum is like it's a kind of surname for wheat. Okay, and we have here some of them, just some of them, not all of them. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the oldest and the newest type, putting them in antithesis. So we have in your left side here einkorn, that's the name, is the oldest Triticum monococcum, that's the scientific name, the Latin name. It's the diploid species. It has only 14 chromosomes. There is no less than this, one pair. 7 plus 7, we have 14. There is no less than this. In comparison with the other one, here is common wheat, the newest, Triticum aestivum, that's the Latin name. It has 42 chromosomes and is the most cultivated hexaploid species in the world. Okay, till here seems to be okay. What's the difference between them? First of all, the harvest. This one, the einkorn, the oldest one, we cannot get more than 2 tons per hectare. Hectare, thank you. As I said this morning, English is not my first language. Actually, it's not even my second language. So please bear with me and please correct me because you helped me. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So, you cannot get more than 2 hectares. But with the other one, with this one, you can obtain from 6, even 9. So we can imagine what's the problem. Okay, if we get more with this from this, why don't we use it more? Why don't we cultivate it more? We'll see. There is another difference, and okay, thank you. So we have them here. This is the einkorn, and this is the common wheat. Thank you. Okay. If you look at this, the surface is really thin. But this one, the surface is rough. What does it mean? It's like if on the glass, the unpleasant guest, they cannot get into and destroy it. But with the roof one, always they can stay there. So it's more vulnerable. It's no, vulnerable. Vulnerable. Oh, thank you. That one. So This one, the oldest one, can keep more than the other one. That's one of the... Then the second thing is threshing. I have to This is the oldest one. This is the einkorn. Here, we have it here. And this one is the newest one. Triticomestivo. This is, okay. What's the difference? I'm gonna get an, okay. A grain. I rub it in between my fingers. And this is grain. This is the einkorn. This is grain, and this is the chaff. One piece, not like the other one. And this is the problem, because the newest one is easy to have a quick threshing. You see, you can quickly detach the chaff. But the other one, the old one, the chaff stay whole. Okay, if the chaff is intact after you take remove the grain, what is telling me about this? First of all, protection. Protection. So the grain keeps more. But for me, this experiment makes me understand better an old story in the Bible. Joseph in Egypt was able to keep for 7 years the wheat there. Why? Because the wheat they had in that period was something like this, if not really this one, which you cannot detach the chaff, thank you, so easy. So if you are going to preserve a grain with a smooth surface, which means higher resistance, then with the chaff as well, which means good protection against unpleasant guests and mold and everything like that, So that's pretty clear that they had this kind of cereals. In comparison with today, if the cereals are not um stored at 10 degrees as a temperature, they get unpleasant guests and they get spoiled. So that makes me understand the Bible. If I couldn't understand this, for me, the Bible could be just a story. And an atheist could tell me, come on, if I put the grain in some storage like they used to do, it gets spoiled in 1 or 2 years. And they could store it for 7 years. But there is a reason for that. Okay. So, according to Herodotus, we are speaking about 1,000 years after Moses. In Egypt, they had Emer, and in Canaan, they had Durum. Okay? And this is Durum. After the presentation, I invite you to please don't taste the flour because to be honest, I don't change them after each presentation. So they have more than 14 days, which is the maximum period to keep a healthy flour. If you want to taste, we can make fresh one here and no problem, but not okay. So, yeah, they had Imer and Durum. Durum, it's a grain, we are going to speak about them later. Durum, it's a type of wheat which in Italy they still use it. Pasta, thank you, yes. And they make semolina from that. That's from Durum. It's a good grain. It's a good grain. It's not the best. It's not like einkorn, but it's quite good. Yeah, it's okay. So, if Herodotus said they had Imer or Durum in Canaan and in Egypt, that means Joseph, he was 400 years before Moses. So we are speaking about 1,900 years before Christ. So in that period couldn't be else, in my opinion, than einkorn. So that's why they could keep it for 7 years, and in the that storage. Okay. This is the chaff and from the einkorn. So in this way, they preserve it there for 7 years. Okay, and you can see here the chaff, as I did, and came out more. And here, the chaff is intact. The shell, yeah, thank you. Okay, let's go forward. And we are speaking about saving. Today, we have metal sieves, which they have 180 microns, or maybe less. That means you get powder. In that period, I didn't find anything. There is something in the New Testament, but it's about the grain. It's not about the flour. So, let's see the result. We have fine flour, time, the Bible time, we are speaking about 3.5 thousand years ago, and today, in that period, they use einkorn, that's one, and today, modern wheat. Threshing, hand beating of cereals, okay? Today we have ultra-modern threshing machines. Grain finishing process, no one in that period. We are going to speak later about the pulling. And today we have the pulling. In that period, milling was crushing grains between two stones. Today we have mill with metal rolls. In that period, sifting, nothing. And it was a separation between when you crush them, all the chaff you'll let's say you'll remove it from that might be like fine flour, but fine flour could be even with let's say in Italy with durum they make semolina, and this il semolino lo chiamano loro. It is not really fine. You can make pasta with that, but for making bread you have to make it fine again, and they call it la semola rimacinata, remilled, like, and in that case they can make bread with us, and you can even buy bread, especially in Sicily, in South Italy. Okay, so as a result, in this case, in that period, the fine flour was nothing else than wholemeal flour, or at least semi-wholemeal flour. In comparison with today, which we have flour type 00, or in it, I don't know in Ireland, I'm not sure, but in Italy you can buy 30 flour. Yeah, it's very fine. Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't explain to my friend just in a few seconds all this process, because no time. But this is the way which we have to understand that the fine flour Moses used to speak about. I repeat, we are speaking about Bronze Age. We are speaking about more than, let's say, around 3.5 thousand years ago. Okay. Someone will tell me, come on, Florentine, okay, what's the problem? We can use this or we can use that one. What's the problem with this? Let's see if there is or not a problem using this one or that one. Good. And let's speak about wheat. Considering that wheat is the most cultivated cereal in the world, Then, for some people, the only one to make bread, we are going to try to talk a little bit about it. As we saw before, we have here some of the uh, type of wheat. Okay, so we are going to speak about the most important of them. Yeah, it's a bit funny. When I buy cereals or grains, usually I buy more, like bulk, and I divide it with my friends. It is cheaper, and the source is much better. Okay, so when I told them like, oh, I got einkorn. Do you want einkorn? Do you want spelt? Do you want? They were like, oh, what's that? What's the? And to be easier for them to understand, I gave them nicknames, and it was easier to give them patriarchs' names because they are people who read the Bible, so they can understand the value of that type of wheat. So, the first one, einkorn, the one we spoke about here, Triticum monococcum, it has 14 chromosomes. We spoke about that. The name is Adam because the Adam was the first one, and this is the first one. We don't know if the previous, if there was something previous to us. So this is the oldest from the beginning. I have to say that I can, even if we. When I started to make this research for this, the einkorn, they said the age is around 7,000 years appear on the earth. And that moment I said, oh, according to the chronology of the Bible, the earth couldn't have more than 7,000 years. We don't know how long was the Eden period. But if we analyze the chronology, we find out something like 6,000 years. And I said, I like to hear that. So it was in the time of Adam. Then they said, it might appear in the Anatolia. It's a Turkish region, which we have, it's in the southwest side of the Ararat Mountains. So, why in this side and not the other side? The other side there is Armenia and is only mountains. So they came from the arch. They came down in this way, and it seems like they started to grow this kind of wheat. So the science and the researchers and archaeology tells me that Noah started to grow this kind of wheat. Let's say, after my logic, if we were not in that period there, but in my logic, that's it. Okay, so let's go. Imer triticum turgitum variety dicocum. This one has 28 chromosomes. We can find it cultivated or wild. In antiquity, it was wildly cultivated, nowadays less so. This is the one which I told you the Egyptian, they used to grow it. The name is Noah because it's the first transformation genetically speaking. So, not helping me? Oh, yes. You can see here, einkorn, this one, and it was crossed with a herb. Sorry. It was crossed with a wild herb, and we obtained einkorn was crossed with a wild herb, and we get this, which is which is Noah, this one. So, then we have durum. It's the one which we get even the pasta. Okay, it has the same 28 chromosomes like Noah. So I named it Shem, the son of Noah, because he was in the same time and he had the same transformation, let's say. So this one, Noah with the wild herb, they cross, and we have spelt. And from here, things change. The spelt, it is a hexaploid species, 42 chromosomes. From 14, we are now at 42, which, yeah. So, the nickname is Abraham. Both. It is so different. This is spelt. It is totally different. The rye and the barley, this one and this one, they are more similar than the old grain, the old wheat, than the spelt. It's totally different. But because contain gluten and it comes from triticum, it's a part of wheat. So, after this, people, the scientists or the engineers, they started to modify in such a way, the spelt here. The problem is genome D, you can see here, which took it from the wild species here. So the genome D can be modified in laboratory, and they can get any kind of wheat, like good for this pesticide, good for that kind of soil or everything they like. But we are going to see after. And I want to go back a bit. The last one, it comes from spelt, and the name is common wheat. And it has 42 chromosomes and is the most cultivated hexaploid species in the world. And I named it Laodicean, as the Bible says. Yes. Okay. If I have to paraphrase Revelation chapter 3, I would say, because you say, I am the best wheat, is the most cultivated in the world. If you ask someone about the wheat, he'll tell you, oh, no, only this is wheat. The other one is einkorn, something else. But that's the true wheat, not the last one. Okay, so because you say, I am the best wheat, and do not know that you are miserable and healthy and the poorest type of triticum, I will vomit you out of my mouth. It seems to be strange, but we are going to understand why. Okay, so we could see let's say the scientists, that they modify the grain and the wheat in such a way than the modern one, this one, had the stick, the straw, very short, even 40 centimeters. Yes, and it's quite hard. But the other one is quite long. The emir, this one, sometimes could reach even more than 180 centimeters. Yeah, it's really hard, tall. And the problem is with this, it is very fragile, as the barley is. And we know, the Bible tells us, this, the einkorn and the barley, they were in that period, the Bible says. So, the problem is, when the harvest is quite ready, it's going to fall. Instead, this one, not. They stay straight. This explanation helps me to understand the Bible. Why Ruth? No. What was the amount which Ruth collected after the harvest? If it was this one, poor girl, couldn't get anything. Yes, but with this, we can understand the Bible. Okay, so we have here friends. Okay, thank you. So we have here a study carried out by Professor Benedetelli from University of Florence in Italy. So we have new and old wheat species. The new one, as I said before, they have 40 or even 80 centimeters here, And we have the oldest one in the other side with over 180 centimeters. And we have here, this is from Italy, and in comparison with this, when I called Christina to ask her permission to use her photo in my presentation, I asked her if she was standing on tiptoes. She said no. I said, I am very happy to hear that. So you can see the difference. You can see the difference. Well, we see that. Maybe someone more skeptical will tell me, come on, Florentine, how do I know that in that period they have that kind of wish? Well, let's ask the Egyptians. And we can see, my friend Einhorn will help me, we can see here the species, the spikes, they are really, really high. And another important thing, yes, which with the other one doesn't happen. That's explained to me that the Bible is right. And there is a law in the Bible which says, leave them for the poor people. That's why. And they are not Jewish. They are not, let's say, Israelis. They are Egyptians. And they draw it just because that was the reality. But this fact makes me understand better the Bible. And as the archaeology says, they have einkorn, emer, the one which grows up over 180. Okay, we can see this one. This is einkorn here, and this is, you can see in this side the spikes. So that could be einkorn or barley. But barley, as you see, is banded. Is banded. Thank you. Einkorn not. That's the difference. So it couldn't be this. And we have here them, and we can put them in antithesis. I want you to notice this. Symmetry. And here, it's a monster. And if you are going to spray this, I have one here, with a pesticide, glyphosate. It goes, the plant is going to have more harvest. Yes, that's the secret. And they do this today very often. I have to say that even, okay. At the beginning, I had these two types. And I have a friend who, in that period, she was attending a master, something in agronomy. And I asked her, could you please tell your teachers what's the difference between this and this, and those type of modern wheat? And after 2 weeks, she texted me back and she said, I'm sorry, I asked my teachers, but they said, especially her teacher for the master, and she said she's not specialized in herbs. In that moment, I got the best answer I would want to hear. In my mind came the verse of Genesis 1:29 we did read this morning. So, God says, I'm going to give you all the herbs. Yes. So, we're speaking about cereals and pseudo-cereals there. That shall be your food. It was like a commandment. Now we understand why God says about the hand stone. It's so important because it's linked by his law in Genesis 1:29. But anyway, just, okay. This is einkorn. You can see it's going to bend, and okay. It grows like this. It's quite high. And that's what's the secret. But we are going to speak about that later. Okay. Einkorn, Triticum monococcum, like other ancient grains, has a fairly low gluten content, around 7%. From some studies in vitro tests, 2005, 2006, 2007, and 2015, it seems that monococcum gliadin, that's the let's say the protein from the gluten. They are glutenin and gliadin. Okay. Okay, it seems that monococcum gliadin, compared to that of the modern wheat, does not have such toxic effect on the intestinal mucosa of celiac disease. Okay, I didn't find in that period, I didn't find a comparison between the einkorn and the new one, the modern wheat. But I found between einkorn and durum. Well, it's not fair to take one like einkorn from a study and the other one, the modern wheat from other study, and put them together for comparison. You have to have the same soil, the same weather, the same ambient, everything should be the same to be a fair research. So I found this. And I want you to see what's happened from 14 chromosomes to 28 chromosomes. Okay? So we have einkorn here, the oldest, and let's call it Shem, the son of Noah. And you can see how much we are going to lose. We lost having that uh, transformation, let's say, or that cross. Sodium is half, and all of them, they are decreased. Okay, so I am not going to comment everything, but just have an idea. And this is another comparison from durum and the modern wheat. And we are speaking about science. I'm not going to read the references now. You can see them. This is science. You can see them. Okay, you can see we're going to lose proteins a lot. Fats, which it's very important. Sodium, potassium, the same. Calcium. And we say, okay, we are low in calcium. Yes, that's why. Magnesium, the same. Vitamins. Vitamin B2, riboflavin. 0. It doesn't exist. And this is whole grain. If we are speaking about flour, we are really, really nothing. Okay, so every time we genetically modify the creation, we will lose its quality. That's the problem. But it seems like we already have known about this. Leviticus 19, verse 19. You shall keep my statutes. You shall not sow your field with mixed seed. We spoke about this morning, about shall. It's a commandment. Because God told us, like, if you do that, you are going to get the thing we saw before. We are going to lose the quality and we get sick for this. Okay. The other one, you shall not sow your vineyard with different kinds of seeds, lest the yield of the seed which you have sown and the fruit of your vineyard be defiled. Okay. Triticum aestivum, that's the common wheat, was further selected by humans to have useful characteristics for cultivation, such as seeds that do not fall and the rather low and resistant stem to fall, as we saw before. Okay, so now we are going to speak about the Laodicean, the poorest one, just to have an idea what we is. Here we have essential amino acids present in the grain of wheat. Triticum aestivum nascer, that's the name, okay. So, the tryptophan was not detectable, which is important. Well, I have to make this example, even if the time is short, but just to understand better. sometimes when my friends, they know I am vegan, they say, "Oh, you're vegan. Where did you get the proteins from?" That's the first thing. And some of them, my colleagues, some of them, they are doctors. And they say, "Oh, guys, go to school again." Anyway, brothers and sisters, we don't need proteins. We need, thank you, we need amino acids. But the amino acids, they cannot stay by themselves. They stay together in blocks. And those blocks, we call them proteins. Well, the process is more complicated, but just to have an idea. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say my body is a country or a city, and I need to build a district or an estate, whatever you want to call it. And the name is Bicycle. Okay? So, to build this district, I need bricks. Let's say yellow and red. We compare them with amino acids, okay? But if I am going to import to it, like pallets, like protein, with green, blue, and yellow bricks, amino acids, I mean. What I'm going to do with them? Sorry for the just. We send them to the export. Is that correct? But all this process means energy. You have to have people who, let's say, people who detach them, who check them, who carry them. So we are going to lose energy, minerals, nutrients to process this. But this is nothing. What happened with my district? The builders. What happened when you build a block or something, a building, and you just leave it for some period, 1 year, 2 years, halfway built, because you don't have materials to continue? What's happened? It's going to be destroyed. The same happened in our bodies as well. So, well, the creation is full of protein, but not all the proteins are good for my body. And I'm going to give you an example. Coronavirus is a protein. A fat protein is the spike protein, a bad toxin. It's a protein. Who wants them? Nobody. Another example, the venom, the poison for serpents, snakes, yeah. That's protein. Is anyone who wants it in his body, in her body? No. That's protein. So not everything is protein is good for my body. Well, tryptophan is an essential amino acid for our bodies. So we cannot process this, we cannot create with our body, we have to take it from food. Well, It's true, we can take it from other kind of food. But if my diet is based on grain, cereals, and especially in new wheat, I'm going to have trouble with this. Maybe someone will tell me, come on, Florentine, okay, tryptophan, what's that? If I don't have it, what's the problem? Well, the tryptophan contributes to the secretion of the serotonin and melatonin, improving memory, reducing anxiety, tension, and irritability, regulating mood, appetite, and sleep schedule. Everything in the body. And we are wondering why the people, especially the kids, are going to be depressed, aggressive. They don't sleep anymore. Then there might be an answer. There might be an answer in diet. Okay. So we are speaking about the hulling of cereals. Okay. We know it's to detach and remove the husk or the chaff, the chaff from some seeds from consumption. Okay, and we have here the old method, and this is the new method. Okay, we spoke about this. I'm not going to go into the details. Okay, the old one and the new one. Okay, so we have here, this is the whole grain of the wheat, and we can see here, it is very important when you buy the grain, any kind of grain, especially cereals, the germ, that's very important, that has the power of germination. If they take that off, it is better to avoid that cereals. Okay, so we have here the anatomy of grain, or wheat grain. Okay, so we can see here the kernel of wheat is separated in its three components: the endosperm, the germ, and the bran. You can see all of that. So you can see, can you see there? Not really. Okay, I'm gonna comment a bit then. Okay, you have here all the quantity of the nutrients you get in them, or you lose if in case you detach them. So in endosperm, we mean this one here, which is the starch, actually. Okay, we have 70% proteins, 42% vitamin B, 32% vitamin B2, 12% vitamin B3, 6% vitamin C, and 3% vitamin B1. Okay, in this one, in the bran, pay attention, please. 86% of B3, vitamin B3. And to get white flour, you have to eliminate this. So we eliminate the vitamin B3 at least 86%. Well, 73% of vitamin B6, the same. 50% of pantothenic acid, which is B5. 42% of B2. 33% of vitamin B1, and 90% of proteins. Okay. And in the germ, an embryo, here, this one, which we can find the fat of the grain, we have, please pay attention of this, 64% vitamin B1. Then 26% riboflavin, it's B2, 21% vitamin B6, 8% protein, and okay. If we eliminate this and this, we are losing the nutrients, especially vitamin B1, B2, and B6, which our body needs to process. The endosperm. We say only at the wedding, when God united, the man shall not divide. But we have to say here more than that moment, because it's the same. If God put them there, that means he knew exactly what he was doing. So, if B2 or B3, I don't remember exactly, they are made to eliminate and to process the sorry, I don't remember. Is the toxin when we cook something and become burn the surface? No, that's the name. Yes, it's cancerogenic. Yeah, it's with B. I don't remember now. Maybe it comes after. Okay, it's very toxic and it's cancerogenic. Yes, and the B2 and B3 as well, but I think B2 more than had to eliminate that from our body. Yes, if we don't have it because of the processing, so our body gets sick. As we saw this morning with the presentation, there are always issues with the diet. Okay, next is pearling. Are you familiar with this? Not really, not everybody. Yeah. Well, they are going to define the grains just because it's better. They keep longer because the grain, the embryon, which is the fat, that get rancid and spoil the flour. That's why I said before, this flour has more than 2 weeks, so please don't taste it. You can feel it, you can, but don't taste it. If you want to taste, we can make fresh one. Now, that's different, but not that one because, as I said before, I don't change them after each presentation. Okay. So, good. That's the pearling. Okay. And grain are defined as pearled when they are stripped of the outer shell and underlying bran through a process called abrasion. So, at the end of the procedure, the grains become lighter in color and cooking become faster. The last week, last Sabbath, I gave this presentation in Dublin West, and somebody told me about the barley she likes to put barley in like soup and things like that. And she said, "Oh, I thought the pearled the pearled one was the best," but she was so disappointed. Yeah, yeah, and that's anyway. So, what's the pearling for? The pearling of grains is used for economical reason. The part with the highest nutritional value, the grain germs, degrades faster due to the fats they contain, as we said before. That's why wholemeal flour doesn't keep for too long, because it goes rancid. With white flour, things are different. It can be stored in large quantities for a long time. Cockroaches avoid it because it lacks the nutrients they need. So they need to feed their children, like, okay. So that's why they avoid them. Okay, now let's see what is lost by pearling. And we are speaking about wheat, the modern grain, the last one. Okay. This process removes 70% of vitamin B1. We spoke before. We need it for liver. Liver needed to process the carbohydrates and all that starch, let's say. Okay, 70% of calcium, especially the kids, they need it. The women, they need it. And they know better. We are going to lose 70% of phosphorus, 75% of iron, and we are speaking about anemia. That's why. As well as most of the fibers. The fibers are very, very important. We cannot imagine how important they are. We don't digest them, but they are the organs. They help the body to eliminate the toxins and everything. That's why we get constipated. Then the fibers helps the friendly bacteria to grow in our bodies. So if we don't have them, if they cannot grow there, we are going to get sick. Okay, so yes. What remains is the central portion of the grain, consisting mostly of white starch, as we said before, complex hydrocarbons, and a small amount of protein. This rest of the wheat grains is very difficult to process and use by the body without those components removed. But it seems like we already have known about this. Testimonies for the Church, chapter 2, verse 68. Fine flour bread cannot impart to the system the nourishment that you will find in the unbolted wheat bread. The common use of bolted wheat bread cannot keep the system in a healthy condition. We have this in our writings. Can I go? Yeah. Now, about the fibers. Fibers are not a useless ballast, as was considered for a long time. Fibers decrease even more the absorption rate of glucose from cereals, as well as glucose from sweets consumed at the same meal. And especially the people who are suffering of diabetes. And in this case, or especially for the kids, they consume some, let's say, sweets, but because of the fibers absorb the sweets and release the sugar, let's say, um, even if it's fructose or even it's carbohydrates or everything like that, release them slowly so the body cannot get crazy and the pancreas and everything. Okay, so uh, yeah, the oats is the best in absorbing this. We're speaking about this. Oats. Irish people know. About oats, always I said, I'm sorry that I was not born in a culture which we have to use uh, oats, like to eat porridge, because porridge it's a very healthy food. Well, that doesn't mean we have to eat it to have to eat only porridge, but it's very good. Please loud. Yes. Oh, good. That's a good question. On the oats, I didn't have any research, and I cannot tell you, but I am sure they made something in this as well. The thing is, the oats even is the softest grain among the cereals. No, okay, that's why. Change the. It's really soft. You cannot do this with the other grain. And yeah, it is. But anyway, it's quite healthy. It's in comparison with the modern wheat. There is no comparison. It's the difference from heaven and earth. And anyway, yeah, it's a good food, but I'm sorry, I cannot give you an answer of this because I don't have any research in this. Please.
They say steamed cut oats are the best. So anybody thought that this is that's one of the best oats. Anyone have any thought that they're saying why the best or not?
Yeah, the problem with the oats, uh, being so soft as a cereal, the removing the chaff is quite difficult because you are going to destroy even uh, the kernel, the the grain, the seed. Yeah. So sometimes I bought it and I use it in bread to make the. But unfortunately, you can find some chaff. Yeah, and it's not so pleasant. But as taste and as nutritional, speaking about nutritional value, it's good. It's good. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's okay. We go for. Oh, no. Okay. Good. I'm going to say this. Once the contact between the enzyme and the substrate has been established, the fatty acids are released. These statements are supported by the fact that the acidity of the flour during the milling period can be 3 or 5 times higher than the flour obtained by crushing the same wheat grains at a temperature of below 10 degrees. So, once we break the seed, the enzyme and the substrate, they are going to have the reaction. That's why whole grain flour gets rancid quickly. And that's why it is better to have something like this electrical manual or 2 stones. Yes, good. And to bake the bread after you made the flour. In that moment, that is the healthiest way to do it. And now you understand why I said, please don't taste. You can touch it, but don't taste it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And this is a classical, let's say, mill with stones compared with today. Okay? So, now going to speak about the flour. What was changed since the middle of the 20th century? The grain supply chain has become an increasingly vast industry and has begun to demand new varieties of wheat more suitable for processing in a short time and at the convenient temperatures. Therefore, the true taste of wheat has practically disappeared because the industry uses almost only the type of white flour which are devoid of all the nutritions and tasty parts. Refined flours have practically no expiration, do not go rancid, and do not form worms or butterflies. We spoke about this before. Yeah. Okay. So, another fact is that lately both proteins and gluten have increased progressively and today being considered the main quality indicators of a variety of wheat. While before, for millennia, man fed himself with wheat and cereals lower in gluten and therefore more digestible, like the einkorn we said. So, what's the advantage of this? The high gluten index makes the flour work faster and be more resistant to high temperatures. We are speaking about money. Okay, now I want you to see this. So, this is what we remove when we get certain type of flour. So, type 00 flour. After sifting wholemeal flour, we get only 50% of that. I am not going to speak about 30 flour. That's really a shame. Okay, so type 0 flour, after sieving, we have 72%. Then type 1, 80. Type 2, we have 89. Wholemeal flour only goes through a grinding process without sifting. That's what we need, and we can get it home without any kind of problems. Okay, so we are going to speak about the new grain, this one or that one. Okay, and let's see what's the nutritional differences between white flour and wholemeal flour. We are speaking about the Laodicean, about the purest. Okay, so 100 grams of white flour we have here, and 100 grams of wholemeal flour. And you can see there the calories, 379 and 339. We are going to lose. Carbohydrates, 78. Okay, we are proteins, 10 and 13. The other side, 0.7. Okay. Fats, 1, double the other side. Fibers, 1.8, and you can see. So we are speaking about 10% we are going to lose. And we spoke before about the fibers, how they are important. Okay, let's speak about the vitamins here, which we spoke before. Vitamin B1, recommended dietary allowances. So, we are going to lose 90% about. Vitamin B2, that's really nice. Doesn't exist. Really doesn't exist. Vitamin B3, 6.7, 31.7, the other side. Vitamin B5, it's more than double. Vitamin B6, 6.7, 60.7, the other side, and so far. Okay. Let's see the minerals. Okay. The iron, 6.7 and 21.7, the other side. And this is the poorest we know. Okay. Magnesium, 5.8, 34.2, and so forth. Okay. Selenium, half of that. Manganese, you can see here, 180. And yeah, okay. It seems like we already have known about this. The Ministry of Healing, page 300. For use in bread making, the superfine white flour is not the best. Its use is neither healthful nor economical. Fine flour bread is lacking is lacking in nutritive elements to be found in bread made from the whole wheat. It is a frequent cause of constipation and other unhelpful conditions. So we have known about this more than 100 years ago. Okay, maybe someone, as this morning we said, someone will tell me, Florentine, come on, that's only church teachings. I want to know what the science says, because I believe in science. All my respect. Let's see what the science says. Dr. Anna Villarini, biologist, specialist in food sciences, and also researcher at the Department of Preventive and Predictive Medicine of National Cancer Institute in Milan. White flour will promote the formation of cell growth factors, and these growth factors in turn are very useful for cancer cells to grow well. They are a kind of fertilizer for tumor cells. That's science. But we already have known before this researcher was born. That's the problem. But we do not apply it anymore, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see a bit. You know, the flour is treated with chlorine to become whiter and to have to sterilize that. So you can store it on the shelf in the supermarket even 2 or 3 years. Okay. But when we add the chlorine, we're speaking part of millions, okay, and we have in the horizontal here the added chlorine, and here the pH of the flour. And we know the pH of the flour, it's important because we spoke about this before. So we are going to lose, this is durum, the first is durum, and this is the modern one. So the modern one is more sensitive, and you can see the pH arrive to 3.5. What does it mean? Acidity 3.5. Vinegar. Vinegar has that acidity, yes. And durum is more resistant. We are speaking about the Shem, the son of Noah. Yeah. So it's more resistant, and you can see here 4.5 around. So that's why all cereals are much better than the last one. Okay. The same happened when they with the carotenes. Okay. We have carotenes here, which we know it's an antioxidant. It's very good. Okay. And when we add the chlorine, you can see it goes to half of them. We are going to lose them. And they are very important. Like beta carotene is vitamin A for, and we have lycopene in tomatoes. Good. Well, supergluten and the genome. Do you remember we spoke about the genome after the spelt? Okay. The hybridizations of the last 50 years aimed in addition to a high corp yield to obtain a supergluten to give wheat flour greater plasticity and versatility. So, agricultural geneticists have those made numerous changes to the genes that code for gluten mainly by interfering with the manipulating the genome. It is no coincidence that its genes are usually named as responsible for celiac disease. What's more, is not usual for bread makers to is not unusual, for bread makers to add more gluten to create a spongier texture. And as you see, the bread bigger is the bread, more, let's say, nice, and people want it more, let's say, but it's not the best choice. It's not. It's better to avoid it. Okay. Yes. Therefore, today's cereals are the offspring of increasingly advanced hybridization and genetic engineering. Today, it is no longer necessary to match wheat varieties, but it is enough to insert or remove individual genes like Lego pieces and build wheat varieties compatible with certain pesticide and fertilizers such as glyphosate. As I told you before, they get more rich in harvest and toxic as well. Okay, so good. I am not going to read this. Just okay, good. It seems that spraying non-organic wheat with glyphosate just before harvest became popular about 20 years ago. 20, I say a bit more because my presentation is not this year, mate. Okay. Producers have discovered that when the near-ripe wheat is exposed to this toxic substance, we are speaking about glyphosate, it releases more grains. Thus, a slightly higher yield is obtained. Glyphosate not only damages the intestinal villi, but also inhibits the process of normally helps the body digest with proteins. Gliadin, presenting gluten, is really difficult to transform and digest. Glyphosate seems to stick to gliadin, which makes the wheat even more indigestible and more likely to cause an immune reaction and dysbiosis. Okay, so it seems like we already have known about this. Temperance, chapter 2. This is important. Satan gathered the fallen angels together to devise some way of doing the most possible evil to the human family. One proposition after another was made, till finally Satan himself thought of a plan. He would take the fruit of the vine, also wheat, I repeat, also wheat, and other things given by God as food, and would convert them into poisons, which would ruin man's physical, mental, and mortal powers, and so overcome the sense that Satan should have full control. Someone will tell me, okay, but the context might speak a bit about the alcohol. Okay, but we see there the human family, and the Adventists, they don't drink alcohol. So, doesn't mean it's not, the poison is only alcohol. Could be something else, and could be even something like that. So, someone would tell me, come on, Florentine, that's only church teachings. Okay, poison. Okay, I'm gonna eat a bit of white flour. That's not poison. I'm not going to die of that. Okay, let's see what the science says about this. Dr. Franco Berrino, physician, world-renowned epidemiologist, ex-director of because he's retired now, of preventive and predictive medicine department of National Tumor Institute in Milan. Since 2007, he is the scientific director of the Vita e Salute, the magazine in Italy. He's not an Adventist, but he's the scientific director of the magazine. Okay, he's the author and co-author of over 300 scientific publications. And he said, type 00 flour, even when it is organic, is the greatest poison in history. He was dealing with cancer. So, the spirit of the prophecy was right. It was right. Even if someone would tell me, come on, white flour is not poison. If I eat it, I'm not going to die. Okay, Adam and Eve, they didn't die after they ate it. Yes, they didn't die immediately, but sure, they died after. The same with this. Anyway, wholemeal flour. The only disadvantage when it comes to using wholemeal flour in your own kitchen is perishability. The fats from the germs who go rancid relatively quickly, and wholemeal flour cannot be kept as long as white flour. Cold storage is recommended in the refrigerator or even in the freezer. That's why. But it's better to get it fresh. Yes, when we get it, we knead the bread and we bake it straight. Okay, so it seems like we already have known about this. Testimonies for the Church, chapter 1, page 684. It is a religious duty for every Christian girl and woman to learn at once to make good, sweet, light bread from unboiled wheat flour. Mothers should take their daughters into the kitchen with them when very young and teach them the art of cooking. Okay, so in the composition of the bread, it is good to use a variety of types of flour in order to have a varied intake of enzymes, minerals, vitamins, etc. Obtaining a more nutritious bread, thus avoiding certain vitamins and minerals deficiency, and to have a varied, better taste without the need to increase the intake of salt. Okay, so letter 91, 1898. All wheat flour is not best for a continuous diet. A mixture of wheat, oatmeal, and rye would be more nutritious than the wheat with the nutrifying properties separated from it. The spirit of the prophecy let's say, said something which the Bible said before. Ezekiel 4, chapter 4, verse 9. Also take for yourself wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. Put them into one vessel and make bread of them for yourself. During the number of days that you lie on your side, 390 days, you shall eat it. We are speaking about a special diet, a complete food. We are speaking about more than 1 year. So in that moment, you need a complete food, all the amino acids, a lot of minerals, and so you have to make a good bread. Okay, someone will tell me, I understand, wheat, barley, millet, and spelt, cereals, but beans, lentils, what's that? It seems to be strange. Let's ask the science. Vegetables, with the exception of soy is the complete, it has everything. Okay, so vegetables are poor in certain amino acids, and we are speaking about cysteine and methionine, but quite rich in lysine, which is why it is good to be associated with whole grains, explained Dr. Franco Berino in his book La Grande Via, which means the great way. In the Bible, the Ezekiel, this is not just a story, this is science. This is really, really science. But we believe that only if we understand. Can I go? the science. And you have here more than, okay? And all the grain you can, type of grains, and you have one of them here. You can, let's say, touch them. Please don't taste the flour, okay? And, oh, that's mine. There are 18, yeah, made with this, 18 or 19, yeah, with, before my first presentation was in Tala, Dublin, okay, and, okay, and I am not going to speak about all of them, but they are very rich and yeah, in nutrients. And okay, rice flour, buckwheat flour. It is very good. Um, for example, North Italy, Italians eat polenta. You know polenta? It's popcorn, corn porridge, let's say. And in the north of Italy, um, well, eating corn is not so rich like the wheat, or no, this like the wheat. I even don't like to call it wheat. So, anyway, yeah, it's not like like oats, but anyway, and to make it a bit richer in nutrients, in the north of Italy, they mixed the corn flour with buckwheat. And if you see a polenta, not really yellow, but a bit, let's say, uh, gray, yes. The name is polenta valsugana. That's the, you see, you know that it's a mixture between buckwheat and corn. Yeah, it's, in my opinion, is the healthiest polenta, the ones from corn, let's say. Okay, so quinoa flour, it's very rich. Millet, oh, people from Africa, they have sorghum as well. Is that right? Sorghum, yeah. The millet is like a durum, but sorghum is like einkorn, like Adam. It's very, very rich. If you can make, really, guys, really, if you can make bread from that, I bake my bread with, I put like 7, between, let's say, 5 and sometimes 9 kind of seeds in flour. Yeah, I mix them like you saw in the glass. Okay, so you can see here, sorghum is the most valuable type of millet. Please. Okay, if you are patient to stay until I finish the presentation, you understand. Okay? We are going to speak about that as well. You okay? Good. And then if you have question, you can ask me after that. Okay? Good. Thank you. So, barley flour, which they use in the biblical times, I don't like the taste. Don't tell that around. I don't really like the taste. Okay. Soy flour, that's the richest, okay? And other oat flour, which is very good, but the problem is too, yes, and some, if I put oats in my meal, only oats, it gets thick, stuck, yeah, and stuck. and I have to mix it with other seeds, with einkorn, rice, everything, just to to be more. Okay, so corn flour, lens flour, everything, amaranth flour, hemp flour. Okay, just to be flour. Good. So we are creationists, but even the opposition tells us what we should eat. Charles Darwin was engaged in a long journey around the world. On his return, he declared that plants were the oldest means of food and that the meat had never been the main food. Okay, so I'm not going to read. Okay, the Bible said that before him, Genesis 1:29, and we see this morning as well. I'm not going to speak about this. And now I'm going to answer at your question. Okay? Happy? Good. So, let's speak about dough raising agents. The healthiest choice is unleavened bread, as the Bible says. Leavened bread is a custom that God's people took from Egypt, and they continued to practice it even after they left Egypt. Yeah, it seems like they had barley, and from barley you can get even bira. So they get, but we are not going to get into details, okay? And we can see that in our writings. The Ministry of Healing, chapter 23, page 301. Bread should be light and sweet, not the less taint of sourness should be tolerated. The loaves should be small and so thoroughly, thank you, baked that so far as possible the yeast germ shall be destroyed. When hot or new raised bread of any kind is difficult of digestion, it should never appear on the table. This rule does not, however, apply to unleavened bread. Fresh rolls made of wheaten meal without yeast or leaven and baked in a well-heated oven are both wholesome and palatable. We knew about that. Okay, so if we want to eat some raised bread, let's say, what's the best choice? And we have dry yeast, baking soda, or baking powder. Dough raising agents. Okay? So, we have here sourdough. I put them together. The difference is not too much between them. It's the culture of and we have sourdough starter or mother dough which in Italian lievito madre, okay? And this is fresh yeast, the second one, and dry yeast and baking powder and okay. So let's see uh, which one. Good. Sourdough starter, mother dough, or wild yeast, in Italian lievito madre, fermentations, okay. So the fermentation is that process where some cells feed on simple sugars that produce as a waste substance gases, which can usually be carbon dioxide and or alcohol. These gases retained by the dough cause it to rise or swell. You only need to add water to a little flour, and after 24 or 48 hours, we can already see the signs of gas production through small bubbles. They are yeasts and bacteria that have been contained in the flour and air. Yeah, which feed on the sugars in the flour and multiply. Let's see what the spirit of prophecy said about this. Letters and Manuscripts, volume 14. Okay. Religion may be brought into every phase of the home life. It might be brought into bread making. Sour bread causes colic, headache, and indigestion. Religion will be lead mother to make bread of the very best quality. Some have educated the appetite to desire new bread and hot biscuits. You remember we spoke about the hot biscuits this morning, I think. Yeah. And they refuse to see the evil effect of these articles because they enjoy eating them. But this does not make it right to eat them. Bread should be thoroughly baked inside and out. The health of the stomach demands that it be light and dry. Bread is the real stuff of life, and therefore every cook should excel in making it. Even the spirit of prophecy call it the stuff of life. So it is important. Okay. What is fresh yeast? The fresh yeast, in my opinion, is the best choice. Why? You ask me. Because the starter or the wild yeast or contain more or variety of bacteria and fungus and all together. But the fresh yeast has only one kind, only one type. It's Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It's this one. Sorry. Okay. This one. It is very important you see on the confection, on the label, that name. Get the picture, it's easier. Yeah, and you have it there. And this this Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that's fresh yeast, is going to make only gas, carbon dioxide, but not alcohol. So it is better, or if it's doing that, less than the other one. And yeah, even okay, this is, I don't know if you have in Cork. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the. I wanted to say that. Thank you. Yes, yes. In Dublin, yeah, in Dublin we get it from there. For yes, yes, yes. And that's why I took the picture of this from Ireland, because it's easier. Yeah. And you can see here ingredients. It's only that, nothing else more. So in this case, if you want to close an eye, okay, you can use this. But I repeat, as the Bible says, it is better to make an unleavened bread, if you really, and if you have someone sick, and we are speaking about cancer, or even even when the kids or somebody is sick, like flu or something like that, it is better to stay in the strictest way, as I said this morning, and I mean in cooking bread, as the Bible says, unleavened bread, wholemeal flour, mixed cereals, if you have this possibility. Okay, so uh, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, fresh yeast or baker's yeast, is a certain species of yeast carefully selected for its special qualities. It seems to be the best at digesting maltose from dough, the sugar of the cereals. Okay, and I am not baking and eating anymore the let's say leavened bread, but I have some picture when I used to do that. So especially for moms, please get the children with you when you bake your own bread. It is very important for them, and make them to play. Make a game from that. This is one. This is two. Sorry for that. It was not time for yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's okay. So, yes. And this is happy face. It's a boy. Usually the girls are, depend of the request. If they, if someone tell me no, make a girl. Okay, I'm gonna make a girl. But this is the boy. Okay, so good. Let's speak about the fresh yeast. If we really want to bake bread with fresh yeast. So, fresh yeast is rich in nutrients such as potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, iron, zinc, selenium, chlorine, vitamins B, especially B1 and B12. Okay, but And here we have to pay attention. Is fresh yeast a healthy product? Okay, to be avoided in kidney failure or gout, because contain many purines, right? That's the problem. So, to be avoided in mycosis or candida, because decrease in pH of the skin actually promotes the proliferation of fungi. To be avoided in colitis, after the microbial flora of the intestine, thus causing abdominal pain, flatulence, and intestinal disorder, joint problems, and headaches because his inflammatory action. Okay, and the problem with the drugs and Adventists usually they shouldn't. So you decide. You understand now why I said, yeah, that's why. And we are speaking about the kids. Oh, I have to say that because it's important. When I used to bake my own bread with starter. In that period, I remember I had a lot of problems with my teeth, and I was wondering, okay, why? Because people they said it's so good, or the problem, yeah, the best things between the quotation marks. They said, well, when the wheat, the modern wheat, has glyphosate, all those bacteria and from the microorganisms from the starter, they pre-digest. Is that correct in English to say that? Pre-digest? Yeah, they pre-digest, let's say, the dough. So breaking the protein of, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we are speaking about the protein, and we spoke about this before, the gluten protein, gliadin and glutenin, which they act together. So the glyphosate goes into this, the gliadin especially, but the let's say the acidity of this let's call it starter, is going to pre-digest this, to break it, and that's why people said, oh, sourdough is better for me. Yeah, but it's just because we are speaking about the wrong flour, the wrong way. And that's why they said it's It's better to digest this than if I don't use the starter. But we saw there the problems which come from that. Inflammatory, candida, or we're speaking about the immune system. That's the problem. And um, I want to say something I forgot. Uh, anyway, we go, okay. Yes. And I make an experiment by myself. So I got my job. I have the possibility to um, measure the pH of the gastric pH of. I work with kids, with babies. So having this possibility, one day I took with me starter and fresh yeast, the one you saw in the picture. And I put the same quantity of the fresh yeast, the same quantity of the starter, the same water for both of them, and the same time I waited for that, and I did measure the pH. What was the result? 6 as a pH for the freshest, and the other one 3.5. We're speaking about vinegar. Well, the apple one, the other one could be even 3, the grapes one. So that means contain even alcohol. In my mind, I am wondering if I have a child and I give him, let's say, that kind of, because at the end of the story there is alcohol there, and you cannot be sure you are going to bake it to kill everything in. And if that child is going to eat that, okay, when we studied pharmacology, not only when you go to the pharmacist to get some medicine for a child, what do they ask you? Age and weight. Because everything, all the drugs, they are calculating all kilogram bodies. And this is even for chocolate. So a piece like this for you might be okay, but if you give that to a child, you have to give only 10% of that. Yes, if you, let's say, an adult has around, let's say, 60 kilos, and a child could have, let's say, 7 kilo. So you have to give 10%. Is that correct? So if you give to that child, for you as adult, the unleavened bread might be okay. Might be, I said. But to that child, it's not the same. Anyway, we go forward. Okay. So, leavened bread, like baker's yeast, is a fermented yeast. Let's not forget that what we introduce into the body is also leavened, fermented. Is that the answer of your question? Mm-hmm. Yeah. In my opinion, you have to upgrade to go to the Bible. Yes, to go to the Bible. About this, we are going to speak later about this. Okay. Okay. Dry yeast. This is from I don't want to say the name of the supermarket, but it's from here, and they said it's suitable for for vegans. They don't even know that vegans is a philosophy, is not just an. So we can say there sorbitan, uh, yeah, uh, monostearate. So in some countries, before they, let's say, enjoy the communion European, was forbidden. So we can understand. Good. Let's see what the Spirit of Prophecy said about this. The Ministry of Healing, chapter 23, page 300. The use of soda or baking powder in bread making is harmful and unnecessary. Soda causes inflammation of the stomach and often poisons the entire system. So, if you are going to forget everything I said or I presented so far, please don't forget this slide. First Corinthians. Therefore, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Because, or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have from God, and you're not your own? 1 Corinthians 6:19. So, if whatever we eat or drink should be for the glory of God, and if our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in this temple, let's go in Leviticus 2, verse 11. No grain offering which you bring to the Lord shall be made with leaven. In my opinion, that's important. I know it's disappointing. I know, but this is important. Because if we put in our body poisons or something fermented, we are going to poison our bodies. So it is better to think about this. Okay, thank you. Okay, now if you want to, yes, please. Okay, good question. Yeah. I am not good in cooking cakes. Um, like in English, they call it pea, no? No, yeah. Um, apple pie, sorry. Uh, Usually, I remember in Italy, the our sister in the church, they used to make an like an apple pie with semolino, with yeah, you understand, and they baked that with apple, yeah, fruit, and mixed them, but it was like and raised and always like this. Yeah, that's the yeah, right. That's the problem. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't know uh, at least one day before we had this presentation in the afternoon because we know that there was by the by, by sorry Pathfinders program. Uh, and but usually, as in Dublin West, I did. I baked the bread, and you could see and could taste how is how the bread is, or and even if it's not raised, when you use the old cereals, the texture is, let's call it glassy. It's not like the other one. So it is different, the texture. And that makes you, it gives you the possibility to bake, let's say, an acceptable texture of the unraised bread. Yeah, that's the. Yeah, uh, I got it from East Europe, but you can buy something like this on internet. It depends of your budget. Yeah, this one is in the cheapest I found. I got it when I was sick because I said, as I said this morning, um, I had to have that bad experience to make a right decision to be strict in health reform. But unfortunately, yeah, but it was better if I would have done this before. Then sometimes we wait to get into troubles and to get a decision, which is bad. But yeah, better later than never. Yeah, this is made in Hungary, but I bought it from Romania. They have a link, and it's in English as well, and you can command it. Yeah, you can buy it, and they send it to you. It costs around €300, and is the cheapest. And the stones, uh, they are made of ceramic. But in my opinion, the best choice is granite stones. I have a friend here in Ireland, and he asked his wife, uh, he wanted to make a present for her birthday. So he asked her what. She said, nothing. I have everything. Oh, yes, I want a meal. And he asked me about this, and I said, he's, yes, and good. And I said, if you don't watch one, 200 euro more or less. Come on, get an, let's say, granite stone mill, and yeah, it was around 1,000 euro. Yes, and bought nuts, wood, and nice. Usually, we presented. We gave this presentation in Tala, and we had more mills there, and I said this is like that one was Rolls Royce, and this is like something. Yeah, yeah, that's the. But in my opinion, uh, it's not just a meal or something which you get it it is an investment, because yeah, because you invest in your health first of all, and I'm going to say that even if it's late, I know. It was in pandemic, when pandemic started, and I remember my supplies, they were like at the end of the and I said, okay, maybe next week I gonna call the let's say the farm, because I buy it from the farm. But the problem is was it was lockdown, and nothing was working in that period, and even the deliveries guys, and I remember in that moment I did knee myself, raised the hand. I said, Lord, may that those cereals, they don't finish until the lockdown will be finished. So I went to the Lidl, and I've never uh, checked the discount thing, and the box. But I don't know. In that moment, I stopped myself there. Lidl, Aldi, they were open in that period. Tesco, so and so, less, more. But Lidl and Aldi, they were. And when I stopped there, I saw quinoa and amaranth, and 50% discount, because nobody want them, knew what they use for. Yes, and yeah, and and I bought all of them. I mixed them with the cereals I had in the, let's say, in my house. And when the lockdown finished, I make another order. When they arrived, I had for 1 week again. Yeah, but I mixed them. So that I want to say, and I like to say for in every presentation, in each presentation I do not stay in one kind of flow. Mix them, play with them. I don't, as I said before, when I presented the barley is not my favorite. I don't like the taste. I don't know why. That is not my favorite. I don't use it. It is good, but I don't like it. I don't use it. But buckwheat, we have a lot of them. So play with them, with the tastes, with the texture of the dough. It's really really nice. The sister wanted to ask me. Sorry for the like.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
No, please.
No, 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 that's okay.
Po-
It's gone now.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry.
Because if I lose the yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay. Yeah, that's the so I invite you if you want, just come here and you can watch them. Um,